Greetings, dear readers. Know that both personally and globally all is proceeding according to plan, the divine plan for Earth's ascension. It is a time for courage but also for hope and joy, because that which you came to witness and be a part of, the ascension process, is exactly what you are now doing. It has become very easy and popular to compare today's world with imagined concepts of how wonderful things used to be. Do not allow yourselves to get trapped in this thinking, for you did not choose to incarnate simply to live a happy three-dimensional life, although that can and will be part of it. As spiritually evolved individuals, you volunteered to be a part of the ascension process, because you knew that an increased presence of evolved states of consciousness would add light to the collective consciousness, allowing increasingly more individuals to awaken. Three-dimensional energy presently vibrates at a low, slow, and dense frequency. What is seen with physical eyes is not God's perfect idea of Earth, but as with all material form, is a three-dimensional concept of God's perfect creation. Earth's three-dimensional form began as a jewel of beauty and life, reflecting God's infinite creativity and perfection, until ignorant, hypnotized minds, conditioned with beliefs of duality and separation, began to plunder Earth's gifts selfishly with no regard for her as a living being. They began destroying Earth's perfect three-dimensional form, and the result over time is the world you see now. However, all divine ideas remain intact as facets of God, and Earth will once again manifest at a higher frequency as mankind awakens. Earth is a living divine being, as is every person and life form. Everything that exists expresses a vast infinity of divine consciousness, for nothing else exists. Matter is simply the mind interpretation of a divine idea through collective and personal states of consciousness. The underlying reality of everything expressing materially remains forever in divine mind as an indestructible divine idea. When you are centered in truth, it allows the light of your consciousness to flow and align with those receptive, wherever they may be in the world, because of oneness. Remember, you are not here to fix, heal, and correct the three-dimensional world. There are those whose work on Earth is to assist on a three-dimensional level, but the work of those awake to higher truth is to be a light in the presence of darkness. Your awareness of the reality underlying every appearance in the material world helps awaken others and adds truth to collective consciousness. Old cellular memory and obsolete third-dimensional beliefs continue to surface personally and globally, in order to be recognized and cleared. Low resonating energy is unable to align with the higher dimensional frequencies pouring to Earth and being integrated by individuals at this time. Old energy still active in cellular memory is rising to conscious awareness and being experienced physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually by many as part of their clearing process. Consciousness vibrates at varying rates of light or density. This is energy. Everyone is aware of it, but most do not really understand what it is they feel. Certain places like some bars, junk stores, old and unkempt neighborhoods, prisons, closed down psychiatric hospitals, and places of past violence and suffering continue to hold energy that vibrates with a heaviness that can still be felt. Places simply manifest the energy of the consciousnesses that formed and may still support them. There are individuals as well as Earth herself working to clear and replace areas of dense energy with light. The energetic vibrations you experience in certain situations is how intuition works to guide you away from experiences of low and perhaps a dangerous resonance. Trust your intuition always, for it is a facet of your reality as consciousness rather than a human mind with only a limited three-dimensional belief system for guidance. Every individual has a permanent real body, a light body that the majority cannot see and knows nothing about. Your light body is you as an individualized expression of Source. You have had a light body since your beginning. You had it before entering the lower dimensional energies of Earth, continue to have it while utilizing a material body, and will have it when you no longer need a physical vehicle and return home. Your light body is simply God's perfect expression of itself, individualized as you. The reason there are so many diseases and health issues on Earth is simply because at this time, most states of consciousness remain conditioned with beliefs of good, bad, and separation from God and the real self. Because the outer manifests the inner, Human health issues of infinite variety and form reflect the world's belief in duality, sick well, and separation. Because mind is the interpreter of both individual and collective states of consciousness, there really are no victims. But you cannot say that to those who are suffering, because most are not yet able to comprehend spiritual truth and live lives fully under the influence of the three-dimensional belief system. Know that there is always more going on behind the scene in every situation, other than what appearances would seem. Every person is on earth to learn and spiritually evolve through the experiences they need, are spiritually prepared for, and have chosen before incarnating. Many appear to be learning absolutely nothing, but that too was part of their learning. When a person dies and returns home, with the loving help of their guides, they go over the details of their most recent life, and evaluate how well they achieved the goals and choices they had set for themselves. A returning soul is never blamed for their actions on earth, and suicides are not condemned as many believe. Rather, every soul is held to see and learn from their choices and experiences, even to the point of planning their next life on earth, which may include a redo of certain experiences. Suicides are required to once again get to the point at which they gave up, and then move through it, which may not be in their next life, but after more evolution has taken place. Hundreds of years of false doctrine and teachings about heaven and hell, a punishing God, and sin, originally for the purpose of control over others, has caused and continues to cause many to live with a fear of death and the harsh punishing God awaiting them, instead of realizing that God knows only itself as Dem, which is love and oneness. Being an expression of God, man also creates. Some who have lived very unevolved and self-serving lives while on earth will, after passing on, unknowingly create similar situations for themselves, while others may drop into the heavy energy of self-hatred and remorse. Both create for themselves a hell of sorts. Guidance and love are always available, just awaiting every soul's receptivity, regardless of how they lived on earth. This does not mean they will avoid the lessons and experiences necessary for them to learn and spiritually evolve beyond their present state of consciousness, but know that there is no such place as hell, for God can only express itself, love and oneness. There is no death, never doubt this. Everyone's home is the higher dimensions and not earth. At some point, everyone chooses to go home, which is nothing more than a change of location. No one is meant to stay forever in the low resonating energy of the third dimension. At this time, Earth is a school of learning. As Earth's frequency rises, lifespans will automatically be longer if desired, because beliefs of disease, aging, and deterioration, etc. will no longer exist as reality. The war activities taking place at this time will cease in a month or two. These activities represent an intense clearing of the power over energies that have remained alive and well on Earth for eons. Throughout the ages, man's ignorance has increased and added energy to power over beliefs as a way to feel complete, which in reality is nothing more than the false belief of separation. Every soul seeks to experience its innate divine completeness, but those not yet spiritually evolved enough to understand this seek completeness in the outer, through various forms of power, sex, and money. Throughout the ages, those governed by ego and a sense of separation have sought satisfaction in their sense of completeness through power over those they believe to be less valuable or deserving than themselves. This belief in personal superiority and separation has allowed them to do and take what they want from others without regret, because they believe they are entitled to it. Tremendous pockets of power over energy are now manifesting, but rather than being met with general acceptance by the majority as in the past, power over is being recognized and met with rejection by a world that is evolving beyond beliefs of separation. A new and higher collective consciousness that no longer supports power over people, leaders, governments, countries, religions, laws, teachings, etc. is being born. Mankind is awakening. Physical, mental, emotional, and the spiritual violence of all kinds leaves an energetic imprint until cleared. You will not know exactly what old energy may be surfacing because some are very ancient, but many of you will feel their energy as they clear. Never accept some negative or dense energy you may experience as being personally yours. Do not resist it, but rather simply acknowledge and allow the unwanted energy to flow through, recognizing it for what it is and giving it no power. Your light is assisting these clearings to take place. Dark energy, which is not God-ordained and sustained but rather is simply formed from beliefs, cannot exist in the presence of highly evolved states of consciousness. As increasingly more awaken and begin to live truth, that which is false must automatically dissolve. Cease giving power to all appearances. This is good, but that is bad. The flowers are good, but bugs are bad. The air here is good, but there it is bad. A particular food is good, but that one is not. Follow your intuition, because even the simplest things can reinforce the energy of duality if believed. We understand that on Earth some things really do act as good or bad, and that practical human actions are often necessary. However, you who are awake must first bring to conscious awareness whatever truth is underlying the appearance before taking the human steps needed. Attempting to live and depend on absolute truth before attaining the consciousness of it is not wise nor spiritual, and has resulted in disaster for many sincere students of truth. However, the absolute must first be intellectually known and practiced, in order for it to eventually become an attained state of consciousness that will then manifest outwardly, in as and through the individual. Everything is neither good nor bad, but just is. We are the Arcturian group.